Meeting. I'd like to call the May 23rd, 2024 Board of Education meeting to order. And we'll start with roll call, Erin.
Trustee Leon.
Here.
Trustee Manhattan. Absent. Trustee Chow.
Here.
Trustee Lu.
Here.
Trustee Vogel.
Here. Board agenda approval. We need a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Ava. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Leon.
Aye.
Trustee Chow.
Aye.
Trustee Lu.
Aye.
Trustee Vogel.
Aye. Could we ask the people outside to kind of tone it down a little bit? So we have special guests tonight. We have Collins School, and one of Collins' students, Vlad, is going to lead us in the flag salute. So Vlad, come on down.
Please stand for a pledge of allegiance. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So it's always a special treat to have students here. And tonight we have a whole contingent of Collins students and families and their principal, Kirsten Johnson.
And staff too.
And staff. So Kirsten, I'm turning it over to you. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, school board trustees, Superintendent Yao, executive cabinet, Collins staff, students and families, and CUSD staff and community members. I'm honored to be here tonight with a group of our staff and students from Collins to share with you about our Tier 2 programs. These programs provide students with small group support in reading and phonics, math, and English language development, and have led to tremendous growth in our participating students, which you'll see on the upcoming slides. Now, bear in mind that the growth data you see here comes from the March assessment. So you can imagine how much more growth you'll be seeing in May and June, even still. So we want to thank you for your ongoing support of these programs. And I'm going to introduce our presenters and have them step forward. We have Celeste Lovera, an intervention teacher, Jenny Wu, instructional assistant for English learners, Sunita Ban, reading instructional assistant, Therese Bartel, intervention teacher, Safa Saba, third grader, Jahi Lee, first grader, Vlad Kisilov, fifth grader, Achilles Fong, fifth grader, and Ray Hashimoto, third grader. I'm going to turn over our presentation to these amazing students and staff members and let them take it away.
Very good evening to everybody. We are very happy to be here, and thank you to Kirsten. And my name is Sunita Ban. I work with the Tier 2 reading group in Collins. I work in small groups, instructing them in identifying sounds and patterns. And then we also work on spelling and writing sentences. They also read stories and work on their comprehension skills. And this is Safa.
Hello, my name is Safa. I would like to share information about my reading group. My reading teacher, Miss V, teaches reading using sounds that have helped me write better. Reading group has helped me read slower, practice sounds, and don't add words that aren't in the story. My favorite part is writing sentences and playing a game after we're done with the lesson.
Hi, my name is Therese Bartel. I'm a literacy teacher at Collins and Eisenhower Elementary School. The Tier 2 reading program features the structured, systematic, explicit phonics instruction, which has helped our students make so much growth in reading over the past few years. What you see on the slide in the diagram at the bottom right-hand corner is a snapshot from iReady. So iReady projects students' growth, and they make projections for each student and how the software feels like the student is going to perform by the end of the year. And that's called their typical annual growth goal. So what this data is showing is that out of our 36 students, they made 101% growth towards their end of year growth goals. And this was in March. And Jahi and Safa are two of our amazing students. So Jahi is going to tell us a little bit. He is a first grader at Collins about reading group. So Jahi, what have you learned in reading group this year?
I learned how to touch spell, and I learned how to spell words. And after that, I like to play games.
Oh, good. You answered my next question. Yeah, good job. Which was what are some of the best parts about reading group?
Reading.
Yes. And how has reading group helped you this year?
It helped me learn English, and I like going to reading group.
Thank you so much, Jahi.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jenny Wu. I'm the English language instructional assistant at Collins Elementary. So at Collins Elementary, Miss Lovera and I provide targeted instruction using the program called Benchmark Hello. So as you can see here in the bottom right-hand corner, we have some data here. Basically, what that's saying is the students who have been tested have exceeded the expected growth by 62%. And this was in March. So as Ms. Johnson mentioned, as you can imagine, there's probably been even more growth since then. And in terms of the curriculum, the students learn common vocabulary. So for example, I have a student workbook here. They learn things such as the names of fruits and vegetables. And then they have the opportunity to incorporate that and practice conversational skills. For example, asking and answering a question, do you like apples or bananas? And then at the end of each unit, they also produce a project. This gives the students a chance to incorporate the vocabulary and conversational skills that they've learned over the course of the unit. And we have a few examples in the next slide. Ms. Lovera?
Hi, my name's Celeste Lovera, and I'm the math and English language specialist at Collins and at Eaton as well. So these are some examples over here of projects that they did. This one was on different types of food, and they made their own plate of their favorite type of meal. And then they drew pictures of things that they like to do in certain types of weather and during the school year. And then another thing we've adapted with the program and we added on was doing pen pal letters. So each student is assigned to another pen pal at another school who's using the same program. So throughout the year, they're sending letters and using vocabulary and things that they're learning inside the class and writing to their classmates, and they get letters back. So they're always looking forward to that. So that's a really fun part of the program over there. Another thing that we do is we just play tons of games to reinforce the vocabulary. So some different things like Hangman, we play charades, we play Pictionary, we play all sorts of things where they're using their vocabulary. And I'm going to hand it over to Achilles over here, who's going to tell you a little bit more about what he loves and learns.
Hi, everyone. I'm Achilles fan. Good afternoon. I'm going to talk about my ELD class. We learn lots of English words. We love to play game like Hangman on the picture of the three of there, and we like to watch the video and guess the word. We like to learn more English word. I like to learn English word about job, and we draw picture about work and make project on the. You can see a picture of the nine two, the first picture, and the last picture, or our dude of the project, and we speak more English now. Thank you.
And then I'm going to hand it over to Ray Hashimoto, and she's also going to tell you a little bit about what she loves.
Hello, my name is Ray Hashimoto, and I am the third grader at Collins School. Miss Robora and Miss U taught me this year. In this program, I enjoyed making posters about myself and learned the wonderfulness of talking with my friend in English. My favorite thing was talking about food. Thank you so much for helping me.
All right, so I'm also going to tell you a little bit about our Tier 2 math program. So over the course of the year, I've worked with 30 students from 3rd through 5th grade who received small group support from me and targeted math skills. We focus primarily on number sense. So we're using the Marable and Burns Do the Math curriculum, which simplifies strategies from the Go Math and other things, and really helps break down what these kids are learning so it makes it more accessible to them. Along with that, we're using the Graham Fletcher Fact Fluency kits, and they have so many games and other strategies for them to use as well. And these kids love it. Every day, both of my kids can attest to it. We play lots of games when we do math together, and they just want to come into my room. I had 4 5th graders that were supposed to make up an art class and said, "Can I go to math with you instead?" So when you have that, you know that this is working and that they're having a newfound love for math. They're feeling more comfortable about it, and they feel a lot more sense of pride in things as they do this. And that's what we want. We want them to have fun and to love learning. So it's really helping. And as you can see, once again, here's a growth over here. This isn't all the students, but most of them. And this was a while ago. And these kids have now moved on to fractions and things. So you're going to just see even a much greater growth at the end. They're doing the 4th diagnostic, and I'm watching as their scores are soaring. So it's really exciting. And I have a student over here, Vlad, who's going to talk a little bit more about math.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Vladislav Kiselov. I'm 5th grader, and I'm gonna tell you about our school math. I like my math group because we can play a lot of games. My favorite game is talk, where I match equivalent numbers. I learn different strategies to do math, and it makes it easier to understand. I like learning fraction, and subtraction is the best.
In addition to those programs, we've also offered 4 Learning Hub classes at Collins this year, taught by Collins teachers. We had a kindergarten phonemic awareness class before school, 1st and 2nd grade math fundamentals after school, and a targeted class of English language development for students that are English learners that have been here a bit longer. And all of those students have shown tremendous progress as well. So in conclusion, I just want to say thank you for supporting Tier 2 programs. And once again, let's celebrate the hard work of our staff and teachers who have made such amazing progress this year. And thank you to their parents and siblings for supporting them, and their classroom teachers as well. And that's all for us.
Well, thank you so much. One of the best things we do as a board is listen to kids and find out what's going on in classrooms, and this is very exciting. And we'd like to have the principal and the staff and the kids all in the middle so we can get a picture. Next item is recognition of the enrollment task force. Superintendent Yao.
Thank you. So we are very excited tonight. Just a little reminder that we had formed the enrollment task force 2 years ago. After we had gone through the consolidation of schools, we were still looking at our district and looking at projected numbers. And the task force was created to address three different things. One was balancing enrollment, one was flexible boundaries, and the third was parent choice. And so this group has stuck together for 2 years. They have actually brought back several recommendations to the board over the last 2 years with board policies that we're implementing. And so tonight we wanted to have an opportunity to recognize them and thank them. And also some of them will be continuing on to continue the work with the enrollment task force. But I also know it would not have been possible without my co-facilitator, who actually was the facilitator when I missed 2 meetings, Leslie Main. So just always excited to have that. So Leslie and I will take the opportunity to recognize our guests that are here.
Great.
Yeah, great. So we actually do out of our group it's a 2-year group. Out of the group that was with us this year, because a couple trickled off at the beginning of the year, we have 7 of our members that will be returning with us for another 2-year stint. So we're super excited. 3 have some other things to do, and 2 have some other things to do, and 3 are still deciding. And so we hope that they will join us, and then in the fall we will put out information to the community as we recruit additional members. So tonight we have a handful that were unable to come, and then we have a handful that we hope are here or hopefully made it in the door. I only see 3 of them. There's supposed to be about 6, but we will announce them anyways. So one that is not here today is Sharon Fong. And so we want to thank Sharon Fong's contributions. Another member of the task force is Deepa Karunakaran, who is not here tonight. We want to thank her. Brian Lee, he will return with us next year, and we want to thank him. He's not here tonight. We were lucky. We had a Fremont Union High School District teacher and also a parent in our district. And so as we talked about things happening in Cupertino and Fremont, it was super great to have his wealth of knowledge. He's not here tonight, Wes Morse. Also not here tonight, but will return with us next year is Joshua Moss. And then one of our math intervention teachers who's not going to return with us next year, but she's staying in the district. Thank goodness. She's an amazing teacher, Emily Simpson. Okay, so with us tonight or outside tonight, we want to thank Mary Ann Cunningham for Mary Ann actually sat on one of our other task force in regards to enrollment. So we truly appreciate her dedication. And she's undecided, I think, for next year. Well, we might be able to strong arm it too. We never know. I don't know. And also one of our amazing subs, parents, and also sat on one of our task forces, Alan Fong, who's here tonight. Maybe Christine, you were also on one of our task forces. Yep. Another round with us, Christine Liang. And then I don't think I saw her in here, Shilpa. So Shilpa may be outside with the group, but she was supposed to be here tonight. Shilpa Nagaraja. Here tonight with us and will continue with us, a former employee and community member, also had her kids grow up in the district. Terry Solgett is here tonight. And then I don't see Alan. Alan was supposed to be here also, but Alan Sui. So super fun working with this group. And look forward to those that are returning with us. And yeah, it's great. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much.
Leslie, can you and the superintendent and the group get in the middle for a picture, please? Next, we have communication from employee organizations. Erin, do we have a speaker?
Yes, we have two.
Okay,
Our first speaker is CEA President Kate Lee.
okay, Kate, okay.
Okay, thank goodness I don't have to re-sign it. So, good evening, board, executive cabinet, and all CEA members, and our hundreds of members that have shown up tonight, as well as our sisters and brothers in CSEA. Also here tonight to let you know our concerns and hear their voices. We had them, everybody was standing in the parking lot tonight with their signs to voice their concerns about the state of negotiations with the district and their commitment to our district and each other. And you can see that from the more than 200 people. I'm really bad at crowd counts, but I'm figuring more than 200 people that have come tonight from both of our unions and who are still, many are still here in the boardroom now to speak to you and their support of not just each other, but of their students. I hope you heard the huge cheer for the Collins students and parents as they walked out. But also when we bring these concerns to you, we are caring and thinking about our district as a whole. And the reason that they are here is because, and they want you to hear what they are going through, is they have firsthand experience of how CUSD wages do not meet our cost of living in the Bay Area, or even for their hours-long drives back and forth from their homes to less expensive surrounding areas. They know CUSD needs to do more for sustainable wages and stable schools. There are literally thousands of years of CUSD employed experience and wisdom of what is needed and best for our students and families here tonight and out in that parking lot. Thousands of years of watching excellent teachers like added together, right? Of all these people here tonight, thousands of years of watching excellent teachers in their grade levels and at their sites leave the district to be hired by surrounding districts at much higher salaries than they are getting at CUSD. We are all asking the board, Stacy, and the executive cabinet to allow the CUSD negotiations team to bring counter proposals for salary that are higher than the 3% limit they have set, and their negotiations team brought to the table as the highest they can go. We know the CUSD budget has more than a 3% salary increase available for next year. There is more than that available sitting in the books and supplies fund already right now, which are in excess of the funds that will be needed for books and supplies next year. Now, I will let teachers and our essential CSEA classified support staff speak and provide you insight to the realities of being a CUSD employee and what the district needs to do to provide the best and most stable environment for the education for all of our students and our families who we love and care about so much, as well as for ourselves and our own families. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate.
Next, we have CSEA President Purnima Dilp.
Purnima, are you here? Oh, there you are. Hi. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to see all of you, respected CUSD board, executive cabinet, Superintendent Yao, and my fellow colleagues and our community. I stand before you today with a sense of duty to voice my concerns regarding the proposed compensation for the classified staff at CUSD. It is imperative that we address these issues promptly to ensure that CUSD remains committed to its established priorities. During our negotiations yesterday, the district put forward a proposal of 3% salary increase for the 2024-25 school year. While we really appreciate any raise, it is crucial to acknowledge the significant impact of the rising cost of living in our area, particularly on our classified members, who often find themselves at the lower end of the pay scale. A mere 3% may not adequately address their needs. One of the most glaring disparities lies in the lack of equity within our salary structures. Classified members are limited to steps A through E, whereas management enjoys a broader range from steps A through G. This discrepancy not only undermines the principle of fairness, but also perpetuates a system where certain employees are undervalued as compared to others. Our proposal for a two-step increase yesterday aimed to rectify this disparity, but it was dismissed at the table. Where then is the equity that we are striving for? I wish to bring a few other things that we brought to the table yesterday, which were all, it didn't follow through at all. Furthermore, there's the issue of our BIs that we have brought to the table a number of times, and that remains unresolved. Despite being trained to work with students with autism, many of our BIs are being assigned to students with mental health issues, necessitating a different set of skills. While assurances of training have been given, the fact remains that our BIs are currently performing duties beyond their training without adequate compensation. Our proposal to recognize and support their efforts was also met with resistance at the table. Another pertinent issue is the reassignment of our transitional kindergarten instructional IAs who support to a specialized classification. These IAs, originally tasked with supporting the academic needs of the students, they find themselves managing behavior issues in the TK classrooms without appropriate compensation. This situation not only undermines the job description, but also fails to acknowledge the additional responsibilities they have taken on. It is disheartening to note that the district has rejected every compensation-related proposal, citing limitations in board authority. However, if CUSD truly values its hardworking staff and seeks to retain them, it is imperative to reconsider its stance on compensation. Our employees deserve fair and equitable treatment for their dedication to our students. I talk in solidarity with our CEA members as well as our SEIU members. And I would just like to conclude, and I implore the board to revisit its position on compensation and work towards a solution that values the contribution of all our employees. Together, let us ensure that CUSD remains a place where dedication and hard work are duly recognized and rewarded. Thank you for your time today. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is public comment on items not on the agenda. Erin, do we have any speakers tonight?
We have 15 speakers.
Okay, board, 15 speakers. We have 20 minutes to allot to this, and any leftover speakers will go at the end. So do you want to do 1 minute and let everybody speak now, or do you want to do 2 minutes and if we go over, they go to the end? What's your pleasure?
I prefer 2.
2 minutes? Yeah. Okay, so those of you who are speaking tonight, you'll have 2 minutes each. If you speak more quickly than that, it will go faster. Mahmoud and Aaron will keep track. After 20 minutes, we will stop, and any speakers after that will come at the end of the meeting. That's our protocol. So
Our speaker? Yes, our first speaker is Stacy Yee. If you could come to the podium.
Since I only have 2 minutes, I'm going to get right to it. Is this on? Sorry. Okay. My name is Stacy Yee. I'm a kindergarten and first grade teacher at Murdoch Portal. Since at least October 2022, creating a sense of belonging for students, staff, and families has been a CUSD priority. I feel it's a very important priority. A huge part of a teacher's job is to create a sense of belonging for students. And because a student won't learn unless he feels like he belongs or he matters. Similarly, teachers will not remain with the district unless they feel they belong or they matter. I've been doing a lot of thinking about what district leadership can do to make me or any other teacher feel like I belong. And for me, it comes down to trust, respect, and communication. In terms of a small but important way I demonstrate trust in my classroom involves Band-Aids. When a K1 student, let's call him Johnny, comes to me asking for a Band-Aid, I do ask why. If that child shows me a part of his body and talks of pain, I trust that he needs that Band-Aid, and I give it to him. If our teacher representatives come to you at the bargaining table saying that something is needed, I expect you to trust that it's needed. I'm not saying that you have to give what is requested, but if you reject that request, I expect you to fully communicate why. In terms of modeling respect in my classroom, I can return to the Band-Aid example. I demonstrate respect for Johnny by letting him know that his needs are important to me. I do not announce to the class that Johnny wants a Band-Aid, nor do I ask the class how Johnny could possibly want a Band-Aid given that he's not bleeding. In addition, I do not announce how Johnny has needed a Band-Aid every day for the past week. Similarly, in terms of bargaining, I expect you to respect teachers' requests. I felt that announcing to the entire community what we were requesting, stating that raises we'd been given in recent years, and comparing our salaries with other nearby elementary school districts was disrespectful. I also think it's somewhat misleading to not include high-paying unified districts such as Palo Alto and Santa Clara in the salary compensation or comparison.
Thank you, Stacy.
The next speaker is Anna Reed.
Anna Reed, are you here?
Here.
Dear members of the board, I'm Anna Reed, educator of over 2 decades, nearly all of which have been served at Miller Middle School. I want to address the topic of burnout and wages. As the amount of tasks being asked for us increases, there's no balance in the amount of workload removed from our plates. When we ask for things from the district to help us manage our workload better, we get little to no response. Yet if we are not juggling all the things handed down to us, our site suffers, the students suffer, and our yearly observation data and review status can suffer. We are asked to use our personal devices, run around to complete tasks with our personal vehicles, but we are not afforded the regular pay increases, car and phone stipends that other CUSD employees get. I ask, where is the accountability for our district staff who receive these benefits? Why are they not using those phones to better communicate with us or cars to come to our sites more often? The increase of the classroom cap for special ed should be no more than 8. The district wants it to be 12 to 14. I would like each board and executive cabinet member to sub in one of our special ed classes each for a day, and let me know how you feel about that 14 cap. I am not a special ed teacher, but I am a gen ed teacher that hosts a majority of the students from both classes on my campus. I can tell you that running to chase a student that likes to take off out of the room and learning to bob and weave to avoid being hit or spit on are necessary skills to function with some of these students. I suggest bringing a change of clothes in case you get bodily fluids on them and wearing running shoes for the day that you decide to come and sub for us. SB 1383 compliance, it's May. My colleague and I spent the summer working a plan, and we only recently got the approval to start. We have been carrying the district with compliance, all from our donated time. We are not compensated for this. My job alikes across the middle schools have not seen any movement on our issues with purchasing. And the rest of my comments are in the email. Thank you.
The next speaker is Soumya Lakshmana.
Soumya.
Hi, my name is Soumya, and I teach a non-categorical moderate severe SDC classroom at Miller Middle School. The urgency and the reason behind my speech is because of the number of moderate severe or SDC students' extensive needs is 22, at least 22 for the next school year, served between 2 classes. Our moderate severe SDC teachers' asks are 2. Classroom size should be capped at 8 for non-categorical extensive needs or be able to provide for a variety of services with fidelity. If the cap is decided any more than 8, then categorize the classrooms by the CTA recommendations. Recommendations are attached and sent in an email to you ladies. CUSD should follow some guidelines here. What guidelines does CUSD use? The second thing we are asking for is open up another moderate severe classroom at Miller or any other middle school site for the next school year because of the influx of students who are coming into our programs. There are some facts I would like to share. Two of my four outgoing eighth graders do not have high school placements at any of their programs at Fremont Union High School District. These two students have very different needs and do not fall under the same category of disability, but they are placed in the classroom together for 3 years. They are in the same classroom with me, but if FUSHD admits that these students' needs will be better met at an NPS or a county, I would like to ask CUSD, how is this justice for the students? The formative years for learning are wasted for such students by CUSD. Question, are the families of students aware of these inconsistencies already? No, the answer is no. The families are made to believe that the programs are appropriate placements for their children. I ask each and every one of you to keep in mind that we are advocating for a population of students who do not have a voice in their education, both literally and figuratively. I am hoping that this
Thank you,
rest
Sonia.
the email. Thank you. Would you give us 2 names so people?
Yes,
so
next,
people can
the
be
next two
prepared?
speakers are Laura Hennessy and Ashik Duda.
Lauren and Ashik, if he could step forward and so he can follow her.
Esteemed members of the board and executive cabinet, my name is Laura Hennessy. I'm a teacher at Cupertino Middle School. A couple years ago, I spoke to you all at a board meeting about my personal plights in relation to our need for a raise at CUSD. You delivered that raise back then, and you did last year as well. I thank you for your continued support. While the raises have helped tremendously, unfortunately, the cost of living has risen in recent years. I'm not sure if the community is aware, so I will say it here and now publicly. Our salaries do not increase for cost of living. I used to live in Sunnyvale, but now the rent is too high and I now live somewhere a half an hour away. And sometimes it takes me more with traffic to get to work every day. While a half an hour away may not seem like much, it does have a significant impact on what I am able to contribute as a teacher and as a community member. I would love to be able to attend sporting events, band and choir concerts, and family nights. But unfortunately, I have to leave as soon as the bell rings to rush home to beat traffic because if I don't, my commute takes an hour or longer. I would love to be able to live closer to where I work. Please raise our salaries for the cost of living. Thank you.
Thank you. Ashik, who will follow Ashik?
Joelle Carroll Weave and Mary Nell Darling.
Okay, thank you. Ashik, go ahead.
Hello, CUSD board. My name is Oishik Datta, and I'm currently attending Sam Lawson Middle School, and I'm in the 6th grade. My whole life, I have attended CUSD schools. My parents made a huge sacrifice and moved from India to Cupertino just so I could have a better education, and me and my parents are very pleased we did that. The quality of education here is unparalleled, and that is all possible thanks to our teachers. Throughout my elementary and current middle school experience, I have met and created relationships with countless teachers, and I can confidently say that every single one of them were extraordinarily good. Some of the teachers I was very close to sadly had to move away from my school due to the fact that other school districts are offering better or more competitive wages. Teachers are very valuable to our society, working incredibly hard just to give children their basic right to education. Some teachers work much harder than that too. I personally know a teacher that drives 2 hours every day to come teach. They also do extra voluntary activities for our school so that the CUSD students can become better citizens and learn valuable life skills. When these incredible teachers have to leave our district because they have a job offer for higher wages, frankly, it is heartbreaking. Most teachers work more hours than the average 9 to 5 job and work weekends and still get paid less. I believe that these valuable teachers should have higher wages so that the students in CUSD can have a better learning experience and bring more students into the CUSD. Thank you for hearing me out and for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ashik.
Hi there, my name is Joel and I am a behavior interventionist. I work with the Comprehensive Autism Program and we are designed to implement applied behavior analysis skills to help kids with affordable diagnosis of autism, a development disorder. Currently, we're equipped in training in applied behavior analysis to help our students. However, there are some changes being made within CAP that involve us working with additional students with defined emotional disturbance, a mental health disorder. Although some of the behaviors might be similar, we'd like to be conscious about the fact that there are two very different classifications. And for us to be successful and create an optimal learning environment, these students, we would need to make some adjustments. And followed, we have some characteristics and students diagnosed with ASD or emotional disturbance. So for ED, we have an ability to learn that cannot be explained by intellectual, sensory, or health factors, which is unlike autism. We have an ability to build or maintain satisfactory interpersonal relationships with peers and teachers, inappropriate types of behavior, tendency to develop physical symptoms or fears associated with personal or school problems. And these are different to what we are used to because our students are working with autism and we are not trained to work with emotions and social situations, as well as the classroom setting. Our classroom setting is an SDC compared to a general education classroom with about 3 times as many students. So we would like to be compensated and trained in order to efficiently provide these students with the correct amount of services. That's about it.
Thank you, John. Before we start, let's get a couple of other names.
Yes, the next two speakers, excuse me, are Akila Bangalore and Elisa Amboy.
Okay. Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, board members, executive cabinet, CEA members, and parents and CSEA members. My name is Marinelle Darling, and I'm a mod SCC special education teacher at Collins. And I was so proud to see our school be represented tonight and the Darling children. I want you to know that I would rather be in my home and anywhere else. And as I'm sure all of us are, we're tired, we work hard, it's the end of the school year, but we need a raise. And I understand that the negotiations come back and forth. And I'm sure that everyone knew that the 10% that we requested was a Christmas list negotiation jump off point. When the district came back with 3%, that's not surprising because that's the way negotiations go. What really bothered me was what happened in between when the district walked away from the bargaining table. It created animosity, and you can see what it created. I live in South San Jose. I live by myself, and I'm struggling every day to stay in the Bay Area. I don't want to go anywhere else. This is where I live, and I love it. I've been teaching special ed for a long time, but it's hard. It's really hard. And the post-pandemic cost for goods and services has just doubled. It's shocking. It's like this year, especially in the last couple of years, I've never seen it in my adult lifetime climb like that. And so we really need to have a raise that will help us stay here and stay investing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, board members. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm a CAP BI, and we want to acknowledge that the idea of having a change in our program is welcome. But there are many things that we would have to change in the foundations of how we support our students, because we are, in addition to autistic kids, would be helping mental health students in the future. So the changes we are looking into is changing our training routine, ensuring that each staff member is capable of handling the situation, changing our schedules, because we don't have enough staff to support our autistic kids right now. So we need additional staff to support new students. So the main concern the whole behavior interventionists have is job and litigation security in the future, because with the increase in high-risk individuals being added into our caseloads, with, there will be many more incidents and injuries to occur in the future. We would like to have the feeling we are safe when we do our jobs. As there are many examples of times that we have been faced with the challenge of having to face issues with local law enforcement due to the actions of this clientele. So because of this, we need the increment in our salaries too. With the noticeable change in our training and increased mental stress that comes with supporting mental health students, we need to be equitably compensated for the current employees already supporting these students and the trained employees in the near future we would be. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, CUSD Board and Superintendent Yao and all that's present today. My name is Elsa Amboy and I'm from Dilworth Elementary, speaking on behalf of our colleagues at Krista McAuliffe School. So I'm reading a letter from a few of their teachers. We are teachers at Krista McAuliffe School and write to support the CA bargaining team's advocacy for class and caseload caps that benefit our students. We also support advocacy that stabilizes schools by managing teacher workloads. Having strong special ed support for students with learning differences allows general ed teachers to focus on all learning needs, providing everyone with a robust educational environment. Asking a general ed teacher to document multiple student behaviors throughout the day while teaching a class is both difficult and impractical. There needs to be a special ed support to inside and outside the classroom to help with behavior documentation and to provide services. Strong special education support also allows every student to get the individual support they need. Additionally, we support the CA bargaining team's advocacy to stabilize our teaching force with fair and competitive salaries. Our students deserve teachers who have manageable workloads and living wages. Paying market rates with living wages comparable to salaries in the neighboring districts will help CUSD to attract and retain teachers. Living wages reduce the stress of teachers struggling to make ends meet. Teachers work many hours above and beyond their contractual hours that they should be fairly compensated for. Please back the CA bargaining team to help make these asks a reality. Thank you for your support of our CUSD students and educators. Sincerely, Vaughn Wilson, Sonia Shida, Christine Mahimanathan, and Haley Bell. Please do what's just and right for teachers.
We are at the 20-minute mark. There are 6 teachers remaining.
Okay, thank you.
I'm
So
sorry,
those
6
that are remaining
speakers.
will speak to us at the end of the meeting. Okay, then we will move along to superintendent's report. Superintendent Yao.
Thank you. So first, I do want to recognize our teachers that are here tonight and really acknowledge their commitment to CUSD and advocating for their needs. And I think that's been, one of the things that I value most is that teachers are willing to share and bring forward what their needs are. I know that as a district, we have been open and receptive to listening and implementing as many of the requests and identified needs as possible. The district also balanced the needs of employees and students, employee salaries, and healthcare and classroom supports and intervention. And people also comment that I have a triangle because I think that triangle is so important to keep balance. Last spring, we heard clearly about the need for salary increases and the importance of addressing rising healthcare costs. This last October, we addressed the rising healthcare costs. We shifted from covering 70% of employee healthcare to 100% paid healthcare for employees and shifted from covering 70% of dependents to covering 75% of the coverage for costs for dependents. The district also took on the additional cost effective January 1st instead of waiting till the contract cycle starting on July 1. We deeply value the health of all employees, and we're so excited to begin offering healthcare coverage to more employees and put more money in their pockets beginning in January. The additional healthcare cost, however, to cover employees is an approximate $8 million increase to our annual budget. 8 million is equivalent to a 5% ongoing salary increase for employees. This week, we did offer a salary increase of 3%, which is a cost of approximately 5 million. This in addition to the 100% healthcare coverage at the cost of 8 million. At this moment in time, this is what the district can afford to offer. We have also stated that if our property taxes come in higher than our projected number, the additional funds would then be used to increase the salary percentage offer. There are so many unknowns about the state budget and its effects on schools, as well as the fact that the 24-25 school year is the first year of CUSD shifting into basic aid. The district and myself will continue to listen and continue to work with our fiscal means in hand and listen to our staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Yao. Next is a discussion item. Authorization to join the California School Cash Reserve Program for the issuance of tax and revenue anticipation. Chris, is this you?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, all. Tonight, just for discussion, staff is bringing some information. We would like the board to allow the district to enroll in the California Cash Reserve Program. It's actually endorsed by CSBA. Dale Scott's company is connected to this as well. TRANS, also known as tax revenue anticipation notes. It's a tool that allows districts to temporarily borrow cash for cash flow purposes. As you've heard me say that when we move into basic aid, we are switching from what would be a monthly apportionment schedule from the state to an apportionment twice a year. So when the property taxes come in, they come in 2 times during the year. But then, as you imagine, each month, after each consecutive month, we have cash going out in the form of payroll. So staff has done a cash flow analysis for next year, and it looks like based off of when the property taxes are expected to be received and each month by month payroll going out, that we anticipate needing to borrow money twice during the year, upwards to about $35 million. But the idea here is that the money is paid back as soon as the property taxes come in the following month or the month after. So it really is just a temporary borrow for a period of 2 months, maybe 3 months during the year. And so this is the vehicle that we'd like you to consider. So tonight it's just for information. All school districts that don't have the ability to borrow from themselves take out a trans. Over the years, we've been fortunate enough not to need a trans because we had bond proceeds, we had Measure H. We were technically borrowing from ourselves for a period of months and putting that money back. But since Measure H is fully exhausted, we don't have the means to borrow from ourselves for cash flow purposes. So I'll entertain any questions that the board has.
Thank you, Chris. So this is a discussion item. Isn't it? Yeah, this is a discussion item. So we'll start with questions and then comments follow. So does anyone have questions? Jerry?
Yes. Hi. So I'm wondering, so I'm trying to understand what would the cost for debt service for this? Let's say we at, I think the cap you said 36 million, or to borrow that for 2-3 months. I'm guessing once or twice a year, since I'm just wondering, have we sort of budgeted in what the worst case debt service cost
I will
would be?
ask Dale to see if he could help provide some clarification on that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I had a little hard time hearing your question. Could you?
I'm just wondering about the cost of, well, we're borrowing money, so I'm asking about the cost of debt service. What we're being asked to approve here is what's the interest on the money that we're borrowing worst case?
The program is a pooled program. You also have the chance of doing it on your own. The interest rate will be set at the time of sale. Now, remember, it's a 1-year note maximum. So this, and it's tax exempt. So the rate it's not going to be as low as it's been in previous years, but right now the rate's in the 1 to 2.5% range. The costs are dispersed among all of the participants, so they're extraordinarily low, and they're pro rata based on the size that you borrow. And you're not committed to, first of all, there are numerous hurdles that you have to cross that are federal regulations in order to do this borrowing, because people have figured out that you actually make money on it. And if at the end of the day, it doesn't work for you, you don't like the rates, the fees are too high, you don't qualify, then there's no cost to proceed. There's no cost that you're paying before. In the past, I'd say 20 years, it's always been a positive arbitrage to the district. Always been a positive arbitrage. But the real reason you're doing it is not for the arbitrage. The real reason you're doing it is because is for cash flow purposes.
Could you say a bit more about the positive arbitrage? What does that come from? Is that because they invest the funds and then somehow the interest they charge us is less than?
No, his money is going into the county. It's your money.
Oh, it's a county. Okay.
Right. It's your money. Now, sometimes there'll be a letter of credit we'll put it together. It can be going into different things, but usually if it's on your own, it's going into the county and the arbitrage comes from there. It's not a lot, let's be clear. It's pretty compressed. So I don't know if the structure has been completely put together this year, but there are various alternatives. We work with Mark Farrell, who I believe you met, puts it together for the state. It has in the past been the largest program in the country. Other people have been carving into it over time, so I don't know exactly where it is now, but it involves both CSBA and now the CASB is also involved in it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Sylvia.
Can I, just so I understand how the trans program works a little bit better, is the reason that you're proposing going into it because the taxes changed from April 15th to October, and that changes are when the funding comes in? Or is it, help me understand if it's related to like LCFF versus basic aid, or is it related to like state income taxes, or is it that we don't have enough of a, end fund balance? Or give me some understanding of like what the reason is.
So I think you kind of touched upon all the elements. It's mainly for cash flow purposes. So imagine monthly, I get a paycheck that comes in, goes into the bank. I have a mortgage payment I write a check for. We have payroll that goes out monthly, every month, consistently. Whereas now with property taxes they don't come in monthly. They come in November, December, and then March, April. So between that period of time, I have 3 months, maybe 3 months of payroll cash going out and nothing coming in. So the using trans is to provide the means for cash flow for those periods of time where you don't have the cash in the bank yet because it hasn't been given to us by the county. So I think that's the best I can explain it. It's a mechanism of cash flow. You have more money going out in the form of payroll consistently every month, but yet the money coming in for property taxes comes in twice a year. By switching from LCFF funding to basic aid, the state apportionment through LCFF funding comes in monthly.
So the trigger for this is the switch to basic aid, basically.
For cash flow purposes, yes.
For cash flow purposes, the trigger for wanting to get a trans or use a trans is because before when we're LCFF, we're getting like regular funding revenue from the state, but now we're relying.
And it's also a factor of what we're projecting to spend month after month, and the largest part of our funds that are going out are payroll.
Okay. And then enrolling in the program what's the difference between enrolling in the program and I guess actually going out or taking the loan? Like, is that one and the same, or because the resolution is kind of to enroll in the program? So
yeah, my understanding is we're enrolling in the program. As Dale mentioned, it's a pool of other districts. And so it's just an enrollment, and we're technically enrolling because whether we enroll or not, it's whether or not we need to borrow. So it's more like insurance, right? It's insurance that if our cash flow drops down to a point, we have the means to borrow. I mean, if all of a sudden we were very cash flush and we have enough cash on hand to meet our payroll obligations plus our other obligations during the month, we wouldn't need to tap it.
And if I could add, there are certain periods of time when we can apply and get into the pool, and this is one of the periods that we could apply for it. The other piece that I think Chris had touched on earlier on is in the past, we've had bond money sitting in an account that we've had available cash flow. Our bond has been used up, so we don't have, in the past, we've borrowed from ourselves to have that cash flow. We no longer have that bond money to rely on.
Okay, thank you.
So Chris, this is what I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is like a bridge loan where you can't pay your bills until you get your revenue. So the bridge loans allows you to pay the bills before the revenue comes in. Is that sort of what it is?
Well, again, it's cash. We are expecting the property taxes to come in. So we are expecting the revenue to come in, but the timing of when it comes
Exactly.
in.
Yeah. So you have to pay the bills before it comes in.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Ava.
I think thank you, Chris, for giving that explanation. I think you did a really good job. I just want to clarify the reason there might be 2 times depending on the cash flow for us, because my understanding of paying property taxes is like if you split the payment, there's one in November and one in April. And so after the state collects it, and because we're going to basic A, we're primarily relying on the taxes. That's why there's a change in timeline. And whereas you were saying when we're in LCFF funding, the amount of money that we did get from the state was on a monthly basis, a little bit different schedule. And this is to borrow money, and you said it was 1 to 2.5% interest rate.
I believe that's what Dale mentioned. Yes.
Yeah, and I wrote that down. And then, as soon as that money comes through, we'll just give it back. Right. Thank you.
Jerry.
Actually, sorry.
It's only for 1 year.
Okay. The other thing, I guess sort of the math finally hit me is if we can borrow money at 1.5, 1.25%, 8-week T-bills right now are like 5%. Why don't we just borrow all we can and go buy treasury bills and make some money? Is that, I know something doesn't seem.
That's the arbitrage.
It is arbitrage, but I'm like, if I can borrow money for 1% right now, I'll take all I can. So anyway, I support this, but I'm sort of, I see Mr.
I think Dale can address this. Limitations on it.
You're not the first person that thought of this. These are highly regulated by the federal government, which wants to cut down on tax exempt funding. And therefore you really have a pretty high wall to keep districts out and other communities out from doing exactly that. Whether you'll actually qualify, the question regarding enrollment, these tend to be fairly labor-intensive projects. There's cash flows that have to be constructed. They have to be tested against federal regulations. Whether you actually qualify is still up in the air. And that's what the enrollment is about. So we know kind of what is the amount that we're talking about.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Scott. Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay.
So I will say that given that it's recommended by CSBA, given that it's kind of vetted through CSBA, I think that also gives me a level of confidence. I know there's quite a few other districts that are doing very similar things. And so just wanted to put that out there. I think that the fact that it's something that is being vetted by a trusted organization is a good thing for us.
And we have done trends in Cupertino in the past, and it's always been reliable. And so I support it as well. So this will come back to us?
It will come back as an action at our next board meeting.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Next is a discussion.
And I'm sorry, there is no public comment.
Okay, sorry. Okay, next is also a discussion item. Authors general obligation bond resolution. And I think this is Chris and Dale.
And I can kick us off. Earlier today, we had our board advance. We had an opportunity to talk a little bit more about our bond, mainly focused on the structure of the bond amount that we wanted to go out for, as well as looking at some language, which are two important pieces for us to move forward on the resolution. So what is attached to the board agenda is a draft of a resolution, but it didn't have any of the amounts in or the language because we hadn't had our discussion from earlier today. So it's really a continuation of, and I'll turn over to Dale and Chris.
Thank you. Now, what is being passed out is a form of the resolution that will come back to you. We've scheduled it to come back at your June 5th meeting. I'm going to walk you through it. I'm happy to answer any questions. This is boilerplate. I hate to say it, but most of it's boilerplate. But let's just kind of take through the big pieces. I'm going to walk you through some of just the blanks. So if we can turn to page 2, you can see down at the bottom, you're actually calling for an election. It says call for the election. You're actually asking the county to put it in. We will have to fill in the dollar amount, obviously, which we discussed this morning. Above that, there is a long list of whereases, which I won't cover. Turning to page, I will say that most of the meat of this is in the exhibits, so I'm going to go through the resolution rather quickly. There's discussions regarding what is going to be in it, what the maturity is, the ballot arguments, the engagement of professional services. And then we get to the meat on page A1, Appendix A, which follows page 6. Appendix A, which is the full text of the bond measure, will actually be, once passed, will actually be printed in the sample ballot. And that's the important piece. This is the one place where voters can go to the ballot and they can actually see what you're doing. You can see at the top again, we have to fill in the amount. At the bottom of the page, there is the fact that you will need to establish an independent citizens oversight committee, which is required by state law. That's not an alternative that you can take or reject. And then turning to page A3, you see a hole in the middle. Insert the project list here, which is what we discussed today and this afternoon. That is the full text of the measure, which will be provided to all voters. There's one more piece which is which I skipped over, which is in the resolution as itself, is that the district has the ability to file an argument in favor. I'm sure you're familiar with this. There has been a slight change in the law, however. Now counties can opt in or opt out. The argument for and against is accompanied by up to 5 signatures of voters within the district, either in favor or opposed. The law now allows counties to take those names and place them underneath the measure on the ballot. So before they would only be found in the sample ballot, and I believe St. Clair County has offered in. And so now there will be the Measure C, the language of the measure that we looked at today, and then the names of those people that have endorsed and the names of any that have opposed, which is a big deal, frankly, because who signs this makes a big difference to many voters. I'm turning to the next exhibit. Sorry. Which is the form of the bond measure. The 75 words is inserted here. That's exhibit B, the ballot language we were discussing today. And then one document we did not discuss today, Appendix C, which is the tax rate statement. These 3 items that you see numbered, again, we'll fill them in now that we know the numbers we've discussed. These are required by state law. It's not something that we decided that we want, but we don't want. It changes every once in a while, but the average tax rate, best estimate of the highest tax rate, best estimate of the total debt service. That is the resolution. It will be coming back to you based on our discussion at your meeting, I believe. I've said this before, I'll say it again. It requires a 2/3 vote of the board seats, not the board members in attendance, of the board seats. So 4 members, 4 votes. If you only have 4 members, all members have to vote yes. If you only have 3 members, you can't do it. So it requires a 2/3 vote of the board seats. I'm happy to answer any questions about the resolution.
Anybody have questions? Sylvia, no?
I think we asked all our
Yeah, I think
questions
we
at
got
the
them all
advance
answered.
earlier.
Yeah. Okay, it doesn't look like we have any questions, so thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
very
for all
much.
your help this afternoon.
Very well.
If I may ask for the board, when we bring it back on June 5th, would you like us to bring it back as a discussion or a discussion action? What would be a preference?
I would prefer a discussion action, just so that there's enough discussion that, because the vote says it's the number of people that are on the board, so it has to be above 66% or 2/3.
Thank you. Okay.
There were also no public comments on this item.
I'm sorry.
No public comments on this
Okay,
item.
thank you. Consent, we need a motion for the consent calendar.
I move to approve items 7.1 through 7.9.
Thank you, Jerry.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sylvia. Roll call vote.
Trustee Leong,
Aye.
trustee Chow,
Aye.
trustee Lu,
Aye.
trustee Vogel,
Aye. Board activity and committee reports. Who'd like to start?
No, sorry. So I'll start. So I went to CSBA's delegate assembly this weekend. And it was all about Prop 98. So I wanted to kind of share that information with you guys. And it's if you've been kind of watching the news and seeing what's going on, the governor has proposed this Prop 98 maneuver that would essentially take $8.8 billion out of Prop 98 and not pay it back. And it would affect future years of public education funding. And so it would be it's how do I explain this in the most succinct way? Basically, it's because the state currently has a deficit, the governor's maneuver is proposing to take back 8.8 billion from what they allocated to us last year, which of course all of the school districts have already budgeted for and spent. And then basically on paper pretending like it never belonged to Prop 98 and making it part of their general fund. So the consequence of that is that future years we would be, because Prop 98 builds every year upon the last number, it would be taking us back. And so it would be causing us to lose probably $10 to $12 billion in future revenue. It's devastating for public education. We need everybody to advocate against it. CSBA, CTA, all of these, or AXA they're all putting out statements against it. And I am meeting with some legislators next week to try to advocate against it. And we need to we need to talk to our legislators. We need to have them basically vote against it. So I think you guys have all received emails with like template letters for how to contact the governor. Please do that. And yeah, I think even though we're moving into basic aid, it's still going to affect us because we still get LCFF money for certain categories.
So a question, so CSBA asking districts to do any sort of advocacy in terms of letters or resolutions or anything like that in support?
There is they do have a sample resolution that districts can use. I'm not sure if we didn't really talk about, and that's not really this time. Maybe we can talk about it in an agenda setting. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So Phyllis and I hosted a information session for any candidates interested in running in this November's election. We only had one person show up, but this is a very well-prepared person. Stayed the entire hour, had questions for Phyllis and myself the entire hour. I felt like I was on an endorsement interview, actually harder than an endorsement interview. But so I was quite happy, I think, just to see the level of preparedness of this person, despite there only being one. So, yeah.
Good. Okay. Ava?
I'm gonna turn it on. There was a lot of things. Our district that we feed into, Fremont Union High School District, had a 100-year anniversary. I think Sylvia came along for that event to celebrate. Specifically, I believe it's Fremont High School itself, for the oldest building. And then on the 13th, it was Chai with the mayor. I went as a person from CUSD, and it was good because there were 2 inquiries that were related to CUSD, and I was able to be in contact with the constituent. And then had staff office hours with Sylvia on the 15th of May. It started at 4. Nobody came, and we ended around 4:30. And then our Cupertino, Fremont, and Sunnyvale Parent-Teacher Association had a general meeting on the 16th, and I went, and Rod from Fremont Union High School District was there too. So we got to build some relationships with the Parent-Teachers Association. And then just yesterday, there was a budget advisory committee meeting. I was there with Sylvia, helping out you, and we had Los Altos. Phyllis, do you want to talk about Los Altos?
Sure.
Okay.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. That was yesterday.
So yesterday was our 2x2x2 with Los Altos, City of Los Altos, Fremont High School District, and us, Stacy and Ava and I were there. The major topic of conversation was the Homestead Corridor, which has gone on. I've been on this committee for 11 years, and we're still talking about the Homestead Corridor and how it isn't safe for kids. So VTA was there and spoke with us. The representative from the county was there, and they had a $100,000 grant. They spent it all on planning. There's no money left to do any improvements. It's just, don't get me started. Anyway, we went to that meeting. And then Sylvia and I hosted community board office hours last week, and nobody came. Oh, yes, one woman came. She was a Spanish speaker, spoke no English. Neither of us are Spanish speakers. So Nancy bailed us out, and she got a Spanish-speaking employee from student assignment to come and help us out. And it turned out the woman, that's what she wanted. She wanted student assignment because she wanted to know how to enroll her child in Cupertino. So it was a match made in heaven. So that's it for me.
Can I mention one more thing? Sure. Yesterday I had the opportunity to join in the CUSD staff retirement celebration. And it was just, on behalf of the board, really just wish happy retirement and congratulations and much gratitude to our members of staff. As they were, each principal got to go up and introduce their staff member that was retiring, and it was like 20 years, 30 years, 19 years. And I was thinking about the combined number of years that has been impacting our students and our community. So congratulations to those staff members.
Okay, anything, Superintendent Yao, nothing. Do we have any agenda setting items?
Would we like to talk about putting a resolution on? I'm not sure.
Or what?
I think generally we don't pass
Yeah.
resolutions on things unrelated to,
Right.
okay, district business. So.
So no.
Which resolution are you guys referring to?
There is a template resolution that has been provided by CSBA to basically speak against this Prop 98 maneuver. I will say from a timing point of view, I'm not sure if by the time we do it, I think there is a push at the state level. Obviously, the governor's pushing to get this passed quickly, and I think I just don't know if it's going to happen. If it may be too late by the time we meet again and be able to vote on a resolution, because it will usually take us 2 meetings to do that.
And I'm not sure if not doing those kinds of resolutions is actually part of our protocol or if it's just common practice for us.
I think it's just our practice.
Just our practice.
I don't think it's anything formal, but I think it's, to me, a resolution is making an official statement in a way. But it's not like policy.
Yeah.
And it's just, putting it out there. I'd be supportive either way.
I am not supportive ever of resolutions. So, yeah. Okay, do we have any, we'll go back to public comment, Aaron, for the people that we didn't hear before.
Yes. Our first two speakers are CJ Durbin and Chris Rolls.
Microphones. Good evening. My name is CJ Durbin and I'm a TK teacher at Stockmeyer and I am their CEA rep as well. I've been in the district for 25 years and I teach TK. I've also taught first and through fifth. And tonight I'd like to speak about the SPED teachers. A little background on me. I went from kinder through college with a severe learning disability that was undiagnosed until my last semester of undergrad. When I became a teacher, I vowed to myself that not one of my students would struggle the way I had. I learned early in my career to seek out the SPED teachers for help with the students that we shared. I listened and learned from them how they specifically taught my students when they were pulled out or observed them when they came for push-in, so that our combined teaching strategies were seamless for the students' learning. For all 30 years of my teaching, I partnered and learned from SPED teachers because they made me a better teacher with each strategy or skill I gained from watching them. They are the most amazing teachers because their ability to find and utilize each individual child's learning style to create lessons that make the child's learning easier and confidence building. SPED teachers have their students for short windows of time. But in that time, they not only teach academics, but they also teach social emotional aspects that are unique to special ed students. These students can feel isolated or different at times because they are pulled from the classroom or someone is pushed in specifically to work for them. SPED teachers and aides instill confidence through their support, their praise, and their growth mindset. Simply put, SPED teachers are irreplaceable and rare to find and keep. Like all gen ed teachers, they put their hearts and souls into their passion, their students. Please cap the teachers' caseloads so that we can retain these amazing professionals. We cannot allow them to be overloaded because it will lead to burnout and resignation.
Thank you, CJ.
Good evening. My name is Chris Rolls, and I'm a classroom teacher at Murdoch Portal Elementary School. I was disappointed to hear our district's response to CEA's proposals during negotiations. First of all, improvements in our ability to manage and support all students in the classroom should matter more than it appears. Secondly, attracting and retaining teachers in the most expensive place on earth will take more than a token increase that won't even cover the increased food and utility costs in our area. When I first moved to the Bay Area 40 years ago, a young person starting out couldn't afford an apartment with almost any type of job. Not anymore. For the past 17 years, my wife and I have lived in a 2-bedroom, below market rate condominium in Cupertino. Even at that time, it was the only way we could afford to live in our community. We now have 2 CUSD middle school kids in the house with us, and yet we will never be able to move to a bigger place. Why? Our professions of choice are not valued in Silicon Valley. Our salaries together barely match a beginning engineer's salary in our area. And that's after I've been teaching 26 years in Cupertino Union School District. Are you telling me that designing phones and widgets for search engines is worth more than educating kids? That's a sad comment on our society. CUSD teachers deserve to be rewarded for their efforts at the highest level possible. It's time to really demonstrate what matters most in this world.
Thank you, Chris.
Our next two speakers are Deepa Samantha and Susan Batchelor.
Hello, everyone. I'm a BI with CAP, and I just wanted to reiterate what my other two colleagues said tonight. We have been seeing some changes in CAP, and we wanted to let our concerns in front of the board. The CAP, the Comprehensive Autism Program, was formed to work with children on the autism spectrum. Autism is a neurological and developmental disorder. When a student has a behavior, it's usually because something just happened before that triggered that behavior. And that knowing that helps us help them and understand the problem and help them, right? ED, on the other hand, is a mental health disorder. The behaviors may seem similar, but it could be because something just happened just before, or it could also be because of a previous trauma or some anxiety before. So the skill set to deal with these behaviors are very different and from what we are used or what we were trained for. In response to our concerns, some of us has been trained in TCI, and the rest of us were told that will be trained during the summer. TCI is a therapeutic crisis intervention, and as the name suggests, it's not just behavior management, it is a therapeutic approach as we need to identify the emotions of the students and feelings and validate them. It is something we can definitely do with the right resources provided to us, but it is something we are not trained for right now. And it wasn't in our job description. I have been with CAP for 15 years. And from my experience, this is increasing the ED students that we are getting on our caseloads, and we are not prepared for them. So, thank you for listening.
My teaching career has 12 official days left in it. I was there yesterday. 30, and I was the one with the most years. I was 35 years. And so I'm leaving this profession, and I've been watching incredibly brilliant young teachers come into CUSD for a whole lot of years. I just want to let you guys know that these are really gifted people, and we don't want to lose them. They're what makes CUSD what it is. But the way the workload has increased and increased and increased over my years in education, doing this job, the way the kids have presented new and different challenges over the years, I'm worried that this district is going to burn people out, and that the new kids coming in are going to try it for a year or two and say, I can't do this for the rest of my life, especially if I'm being paid, beginner salary when the top is still a beginner salary. So please take that into account. You don't want to lose these teachers, but I'm watching frustration around me. I'm hearing frustration and burnout. A lot of these teachers have families at home, and they are struggling to balance their life because school demands so much, and they want to do the right thing for their students. They're dedicated to that, and they go home empty with nothing left. And it's just really hard. So please, please, please listen to what the teachers say. We're not saying it to be evil or to be greedy or to be selfish. We're saying it because teachers need to be here, and you guys don't want to lose them.
Thank you, Susan.
Our final two speakers are Angela Zipser and Donald Pearson. Angela Zipser, if you're joining us virtually, if you could raise your hand. I do not see Angela, so we'll call up Donald Pearson.
Good evening.
I spoke a few years ago, many years ago, in front of the board, because I was wanting to teach in this district, but I chose a different district. I chose Sunnyvale. And I'm on their bargaining team, and I have been for 12 years. Over the last 9 years, 3 contracts, Sunnyvale has had an average increase over 5%. Prior to those contracts, Cupertino paid significantly higher than Sunnyvale did. Currently, I am on column 21, and I make $139,831 a year. Compare that to my colleagues in Cupertino, who earn $125,394 for the same years of service. This would be a difference of over $14,347. This raises a question. With the 3% raise that you are offering these teachers who do an outstanding job, you would be making them at $129,156 rounded up, which would still be over $10,000 less than Sunnyvale, which we are currently in negotiations for next year. And the minimum that we have talked with the district is 4%. I am happy to hear that this year Cupertino decided to cover medical for their employees. Sunnyvale has been doing this since 1980. I do think that you do value your teachers, but I don't feel that they are being given that message, the way they're supported and the way they're paid.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes public comment. Thanks to those of you who spoke for waiting until the end of the meeting. Thanks for hanging with us. Do we have any public comment on closed session?
No, we do not.
Okay, then we will adjourn to closed session.